What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Miss Teen Crypto Show. I'm your host, Randi Hipper, back at it today on this lovely Wednesday. Happy to talk about life and talk about charts. But before we get into any of that, if you are feeling the good vibes, if you're here for Gareth's Alpha, please make sure you smash those likes, subscribe, share the stream out with friends because people need to know what's going on. Face the facts, guys. We got to pay attention here. There's stuff going on. Thank you guys for coming. Sorry I'm so intense. I'm just so zesty today. I feel so good. And I always feel really good because I have today's amazing guest, Gareth Soloway. How are you doing? Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. I'm doing wonderfully well. Lots of action in the markets, and that makes me happy.
Yes, we were sideways for so long, Gareth. It was so boring. How did you get through like the boringness? How do you deal with sideways trading?
It's tough. It's tough because as a trader, you have to be disciplined enough to not do anything. And most investors, right, there's this kind of like, it's almost like an addiction to always wanting to be in a trade, right? And you really have to exercise your discipline and just say, hey, listen, if there's nothing there, don't force a trade, because when you force trades, that's at least for me when I take my losses.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what the weird thing is we've been starting to see just random meme coins coming out of the woodworks and just pumping, dumping. Yeah. Do you think that's a sign of positive sentiment coming back to the market, that there are meme coins that are experiencing some movement here?
I think it is a sign that there's this positive risk on environment in crypto as well as stocks. In fact, we've seen AMC, GameStop, like all those big stocks that pumped in 2021. They've had big runs recently. Bed Bath Beyond was another one. My only concern is that that's not a healthy thing. When you see a lot of junk coins out there making like 100, 200, 300% runs, that's generally not what you want to see for a healthy market. So to me, that's a sign of caution, right? It's kind of like people are dreaming and hoping that those good old days come back. But a lot of times, at least historically, that's been a fake out.
Oh, and speaking of fake outs, we were kind of discussing how maybe the last pump in Bitcoin was just, money being pumped into the markets. But, even now we're starting to see Bitcoin pump a little bit and there's not too much going on. What has been going on with the Fed lately, if you would like to catch everyone up?
Yeah, so the Fed, there's a big Fed decision next Wednesday. So February 1st, next Wednesday, the Fed will release their FOMC policy rate decision. The anticipation, what the market's expecting, is a 25 basis point hike. And really, they're generally, if you look at the Fed expectations, it's one more hike after that, probably 25 basis points. And then the market is expecting them to stop hiking. And I think that's why you're seeing some of this risk on environment. It's knowing that the end is in sight for the hikes. I still think the market's misjudging it, though, because it's not just about not hiking. If we're going to stay at 5% interest rates, that's going to be problematic for assets over the longer term. So the market has to now say, okay, well, they're not hiking anymore, but when do they start to cut? And obviously we know that's going to be when the economy weakens substantially, where they'll have to react.
Yeah, and I'm scared about the money printer keep going burr. We can't have that happen, but at the same time, when the money printer goes burr, it brings a little bit more liquidity into the markets. People, have more money to play with. I'm just not. How do you navigate that? The money printer going burr. Does that have a big effect on your trading as well?
Yeah, so in my very short-term trading, not so much, because I'm like in and out so quickly. Like day trades you're in and out in minutes, sometimes seconds. Swing trades, you're in and out in days or weeks. But for me, in my longer term, and again, I basically compartmentalize different sides of my investing, right? I have my day trading, which basically pays my monthly bills. I have my swing trading that builds wealth. And then my longer term, like assets in gold, physical gold, eventually more and more in Bitcoin, that's more of an insurance policy. It's the insurance policy that if the Fed does continue to print down the line, that will protect me, right? That's going to protect my wealth. And so that's where that comes in, where it does concern me on a longer macro basis. And that's why I'll ultimately continue to accumulate Bitcoin if it comes back in, and as well as gold.
Yeah, day trading. I know you mentioned day trading, and that's very intimidating. How did you get into day trading? Why do you choose to day trade? And how do you kind of strategize how you kind of control yourself during that time? Because I know it's extremely stressful.
Yeah. So for instance, on an average day, I might do one day trade. A good day would be like 3 day trades. And then there's days like yesterday, I didn't do any day trades. I did one today, 0 yesterday. So the best way to become a day trader is, number one, get educated on the charts, because basically day trading is going to be off of the charts. And then number two is you have to work on that discipline to only take trades when you see the technical setup. And when you do, then you know your probabilities, right? It's all a matter of probabilities. I look for multiple signals in the charts, and if I do get them, then it generally tells me I have a 70 to 80% chance of winning. Notice it's never 100%. Nothing in investing is ever guaranteed, but it's all about saying, okay, well, if I can win 7 or 8 times out of 10, and as long as my losses are only negating 1.5 of my wins, then it's going to work out. The math is going to work out, but it's all chart based, really.
And I love how you bring up probability and that nothing's 100%, because a lot of people, they come at me, they come at other people, and they're like, oh, but Bitcoin's going to do this or Bitcoin's going to do that. It's not about what it's absolutely going to do. We don't know. It's all about probabilities. And with trading, people, like, they may hear you say, oh, there's a possibility Bitcoin can go to 24,000, just an example, right? And people will not understand that that's not a guarantee. You know what I mean?
Right. Everyone wants like the easy, like, oh, this is guaranteed. And then
the flat out answer.
The thing is, what it ends up being is like, if it doesn't happen, then they don't have to blame themselves. They get to blame someone else, which is like, it's like anytime you invest your money, if you're not taking responsibility for that investment, it's just ridiculous, right? Again, you're investing your hard-earned money. You better take responsibility. You better do what you think is going to happen or what you see is going to happen versus listening to anyone, frankly, about those investments. So yeah, I agree. Nothing's guaranteed in the markets, and people need to understand that it's all a probability game. And so when I make my predictions, it's all based on probabilities, which means there's always even at 80% chance of success, that still means 2 out of every 10 times I'm wrong, or 20% of the time it's going to be wrong. And you have to take that into your investing. And the way that I do that, right? So this is really important, is that because I know I could be wrong on any trade, what it does is it keeps me from putting too much money in any one trade. So this way, if it happens to be one of those ones where it doesn't work out, okay, so I take a loss, but it's not a blow my account up loss. And I think that's where people have to get to as investors, to start recognizing that any trade can go against them. So don't put all your account in one trade. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. And it's about the ego too, because people are like, oh, if I do this, then I'm guaranteed that. But what if you lose it? Then you get crushed, and then you're like wrecked, and it's ramen noodles for you.
Yeah, exactly. Ramen noodles for you. I love that. So I think, and again, this is what I always encourage people to do. It's the difference between a pro trader's mindset and a retail investor's mindset. So a retail investor will go to a trade. They'll see a trade that they like. They'll hear about it on Twitter, and they'll say, okay, this is, they're going to focus on how much they're going to make. They're going to be like, oh, I'm going to make 10x. And I see this sometimes on Twitter, like even influencers saying, what's the next 10x trade? What's the next 100x trade? But the real question I ask as a pro is, when I see a good trade setup, I think first, what could I lose if it doesn't work out? How do I maneuver if it doesn't work out? So my mentality and my brain function is switched to where I'm automatically thinking about the defensive side, and then it just keeps me conservative. And so I get in the trade with the right amount of money. And if it's a winner, I stack 100 of those. Eventually I make a lot of wealth. If it's a loser, I'm just losing a small percentage.
Got you. Thank you for explaining that, because a lot of people, they go all in, they scare me. And especially on Twitter, a lot of people like speculate what coin's going to go 100x. And I remember Bonk was when that Solana meme coin, which was kind of what I was referring to before, when all these meme coins are starting to come back out, because Bonk went absolutely bananas. There were partnerships, and then all of a sudden it was crash, burn, get wrecked. And a lot of people were held like with the bag. So if you're going to get into something like that, make sure you control your ego.
I don't know, are you a baseball fan by any chance, or not really?
A smidge. All
right. So the greatest analogy for baseball fans out there is like, think about comparing yourself to a home run hitter versus a singles and doubles hitter, right? So in trading, if you're a home run hitter, you're always swinging for the home run. You're always trying to hit it out of the park. You're trying to 10x that money. And what do we know about baseball players? The ones that try to hit home runs all the time, they strike out. Well, in trading, you can't afford to continue to strike out. You can't afford to strike out half the time. That's ridiculous, because you blow up your account. So what you want to be is, you want to be the Hall of Famer that gets to the Hall of Fame by singles and doubles, like small little wins over and over again, consistency. Sure, you strike out on occasion, but because you're only trying to hit singles and doubles, you only lose a tiny bit. And that's, again, the real way to build wealth.
Wow. Alpha. Alpha, alpha, alpha. I love that. I absolutely love that. Don't throw your whole account in a trade. That's just straight up foolish. And a lot of people are even saying in the chat there, you're one of the zestiest traders out there. It's because you do your due diligence. You took your time. And you've been trading for so long now in the markets. I mean, how long has it been now?
It's been over 20 years now. And the reason why I'm at this point in my career, to be fair, right, is that I learned all these lessons, right?
Yes.
I did every stupid thing in the book when I was younger. I blew up my account multiple times. And so like, it's unfortunately for me, it was like repetitive mess ups that eventually I learned, right? You touch the hot stove a few times, you really say, I better not touch that again. It burns. So again, that's part of it. And then my goal is always to say, if I can cut the learning curve of someone where they don't have to take all the losses I do to get where I am, then that's my goal, right? I mean, obviously everyone's going to take one or two losses or a few losses, but can you limit it so you don't have to keep refilling your account and so forth?
Absolutely. And, a lot of people do what I think is kind of cool is that they'll start off with, let's say, $1,000. They'll make a trade, then they'll make some profit and take their initial 1,000 out and just use what they have as play money and like kind of diversify from there. Do you think that's a cool thing to do as well?
I do. I think that's smart to do is, you have to decide like where you're going to reallocate. It's essentially what funds do. It's called rebalancing. And so, you may be comfortable with trading with $100,000. And if you grow that account to 200, you don't necessarily want to put that much money in trades or even allocate it into trades. So you take that 100, or maybe you just take 50 out and you say, okay, let me put this in a real estate investment trust, or let me put this over here in gold or something else, where you actually start to develop this core diversification for your long-term wealth.
Boom. And I know you've been watching gold. I know you're a gold bug. How do you feel about gold right now? I know there's been some movement there.
Yeah, so for me, honestly, gold has ripped. I ended up unloading my swing trade on gold recently. Let me show my chart here so we can get into some chart action here. Let's see what we got.
Smash the likes for the charts, my friends. Let's get it. I love the charts. I get so excited. Okay, go.
Yeah. So here, if you look at gold, it has had a monster move up, right? Amazing move. I actually unloaded it because you're starting to get into some resistance over here. And I actually think that the dollar is starting to hit support or getting very close to support. So for me anyways, I'm going to look to buy gold. So my midterm outlook on gold remains ridiculously rosy. I still think we're going to make new all-time highs this year. We're actually not that far away. Here's your all-time high level up here. But at least for a short-term move, this is overbought now. And so for me, it's like, does it pull back to like this level right here, maybe down to here? At that point, I would start to kind of keep an eye on it and look to rebuy at those points. All right. So for me, I love gold midterm. I just think it's a little bit overbought right now. I wouldn't recommend buyers jumping in now. Wait for it to pull back a little bit, maybe 1850, give or take. And then that's where you start to reallocate some funds to it. And
you said that was the all-time high for how long? That point up there.
This is the all-time high going back to, so you made the high in 2020 and then you made the high in 2022. It was a double top and we've pulled off. Now we're starting to move back up there. So really this is, these are, if you go to the gold monthly chart, here's your monthly going back to like the 1800s on gold. Look at that.
That's
pretty
nuts.
Amazing. You can go back that far on a chart.
Wow. That's really interesting. And TA's been around for so long now. Yeah, technical analysis.
Yeah. It really has been. It's amazing.
I love that. Wow. So gold is doing something good now.
Yes. Yeah. It's even, it's not so far in 2023, it's lagging Bitcoin because Bitcoin's had such a big move, but it's still, it's had an amazing move since October, I guess from about 1600 to 1950. So that's a decent percentage move. And especially for something that's known as being a safer asset, it's really returned quite a large number so far.
And speaking of the digital gold Bitcoin, how do you feel about it being that we were so stagnant, like we were talking about at 17K, and then all of a sudden we just fully recovered from November? It was just like a nice little scoop.
Yeah, it is, right? So you definitely had, you had the FTX drop here, and then this was where it just went to sleep, right? It was just no volatility. This is where you had to exercise patience because, you didn't want to be jumping long or short in here, and it was just chopping people out. But once you got this break up, it was like a melt up. We went right back to the technical. Look at where price consolidated, right? Where it couldn't break through initially, that FTX high. And then it finally did. And we're actually starting to consolidate again. So at least in the near term, there is a chance that we could go up to 25,000 on Bitcoin here before running into some major resistance. The only thing I would dare say is that For me, at least, I still have a core position with my members as long on Bitcoin. But I would actually, if we get to 25, I probably unload that and I probably start looking at turning it into a short for a pullback.
Ooh. So do you think we could see like the low of like 15 something again or fall below that? Because I know so many people were just so bearish that it kind of has me where we don't even know where it's going to go now. But it's hard for me to believe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. For me, it still doesn't seem like all of the things that I'm seeing in the Bitcoin market right now are not the telltale signs that a bottom is in. For instance, exuberance, like irrational exuberance, people just getting so crazed about Bitcoin when it's only moved up. And again, you could say from the lows, it's moved up, 50%, but really in the scheme of zooming out on the chart, I mean, it is still way down here, but bullish sentiment is scary. It's almost as if we were all the way back to the highs from what I'm seeing on Twitter, at least. So that concerns me a little bit. One of the keynotes of a bear market really being bottomed out is that the first 20, 30, 40, 50% up, people are so skeptical and scared that they're not believing it yet.
Yes.
In this case, we're not seeing that. We're seeing all this bullish sentiment come back in so quickly, and it does make me a little bit nervous that that's happening.
And, you know, a lot of people, I was hearing on the news that they were comparing Bitcoin to tech stocks this week or something like that. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is there some sort of correlation they're trying to tie here? Is there any similar price movement? Because I don't know. I feel like whenever Bitcoin moves, they try to compare it to the stock market.
Yeah, so you're right about that, right? So there's no doubt about it that if you look at the S&P 500, like let's bring up the spiders, the S&P 500, the low pivot on the S&P was in October, right? So, and you've seen generally a trend up from here. And if we go to Bitcoin, Bitcoin's low was kind of right over there too, right at the beginning of November. So you can see that there is a correlation, which does make sense because we know that when the stock market topped out, crypto topped out as well. So it's a risk on, risk off environment. Right now, we have a risk on environment, so people are willing to put more money to work in the markets, thinking the lows are in. But it just be aware that if the NASDAQ and the S&P really start to tumble back down, it probably would be tough for crypto to withstand that sell pressure.
Really interesting. And Litecoin also has been leading a little bit. And I know I spoke to you about this like the last time you were on, but I thought, you know, even Litecoin was holding like $89, $90 and kind of jumped ahead of Bitcoin and ETH. And then all of a sudden, after Litecoin started to pump, then Bitcoin and ETH started to pump. How do you feel about Litecoin? Do you look at Litecoin at all? I don't know.
You know, to be honest, I don't know a ton about Litecoin. I've always been looking at Litecoin as almost like a level underneath Bitcoin. But I will say this, you're 100% right, is that Litecoin started to rip higher and then a lot of the other cryptos did follow suit. So in that same vein, and again, I don't know if this is something we really want to trust, but if Litecoin started to roll over, do we then say, okay, let's be careful? Maybe the rest, like, is it becoming a leading indicator? Which again, I don't know. I mean, that's a really tough thing to think about. Is Litecoin all of a sudden the leading indicator for all of crypto? But it would be something that I would just pay attention to, right? Does Litecoin kind of roll over? Does then the rest of crypto roll over?
Yeah, I'd like to see it because I remember, you know, previous bear markets, Litecoin started to pump and then the rest of the market started to follow and even out. So I am very interested. And I know like a lot of, I've been watching traders and a lot of people are saying that there's not too much room with Litecoin being that, you know, there was so much pullback and there's not too much resistance, I guess, going back up. But I'm not a trader. I don't know. I'm here to listen to you.
You're making, it's a good point. I mean, these are the things as a technician, by the way, I think as a chartist, you're always looking for these little edges, right? That's where we can, you know, outperform institutions. And when we notice little things like this, and the thing is, as a trader, you can't say, oh, it's definitely a leading indicator, so I'm going to put all my money to work when it does it. But what you can do is you can say, okay, let me just pay attention to this. Let me write it down on my notepad, and then I'll check in. And then when you see it happening, let's say Litecoin starts to roll over, then you want to look for other factors. What else are you seeing? Has Bitcoin done a Fibonacci retrace? Is it hitting a major resistance level? Does my thesis hold up when I look at other things? And then that's where you can really utilize it to your advantage.
Do you look at RSI a lot when you look at the charts? And how do you feel like RSI really correlates to price? Because I'm hearing a lot of people saying that, you know, maybe the RSI doesn't matter as much and sometimes it doesn't always correlate. I don't know. What are your feelings on that?
Yeah, so RSIs are really, you have to be careful using it because RSIs can remain overbought for long periods of time. I've seen traders go broke trying to, say, oh, it was overbought, so I shorted, or it was oversold, so I went long, and it just stayed that way for long periods. One of the things I do look for is divergences, right? So if the RSI, let's say price was at $10 and the RSI was at 80, and then price goes up to $20 and the RSI is down below that, right? Let's say the RSI is only at 68 instead of 80. That would be a negative drop in RSI while price is going up. And we refer to that as a negative divergence. Those actually do tell you stuff. That tells you that big money's unloading in that situation into that move. And again, that's more of the way I use RSIs.
Nice. It's good to know because I look at the RSI sometimes. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm looking for like bearish and bullish divergences. And then, I have indicators like I use to cheat, and I'm like looking at the chart. I'm like, okay, does this correlate? Then I'll use the indicator to cheat a little bit. How do you feel about indicators? Because I notice you really don't have a lot on your chart.
Yeah, I'm a simplist in that respect. Is like a lot of indicators can become very confusing for investors and traders. I love trend lines, and I really believe that like a candle formation, it speaks for itself. It tells you a story. And so, you can look at different charts and based on just the candle formations and how the candle forms in trend lines, you can find out almost anything you want about the probabilities of the next move. And then obviously I flip in a little Fibonacci. I'm a big fan of Fibonacci and a few other things as well. But yeah, I don't use a lot of indicators because I think, again, it can become very confusing for investors.
Cool. Okay. And I know like volume is a good one too. Like it helps kind of confirm what like the moves are. Is that correct?
Yeah, so like I would pay attention to volume only when you're seeing certain things. Like if you formed a bottoming tail on a daily chart, a bottoming tail is where price flushes at the lows of charts, and then by the end of the day, let's say it's a daily candle, it reverses and you have a big tail there. If you get something like that, number one, a bottoming tail shows a potential reversal. You'd want to see volume behind it as well to tell you that big money was buying that up. So I don't just use volume randomly, but in specific scenarios, I do absolutely look at volume.
Cool. What else should other people know, especially me, because like I'm a newbie out here. What should we know about trying to kind of trade in this market where all of a sudden Bitcoin popped and people are unsure, and we were talking about the sentiment, we're not sure which way it's going to go. How do we do our due diligence during this time?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is just to remember not to chase, right? The more hype you see on Twitter, the more when you see Bitcoin trending and stuff like that, it's going to naturally create an emotional trigger within you that's going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm missing out. I got to jump in here. But really what you want to do is look at the chart. And if the chart has rallied, in this case, from 16 to 22,000, even topping out above 23,000, you need to be able to say, listen, if I was going to the mall today and last week these jeans were on sale at $100, now they're $1,000 jeans, would I be saying, hey, I got to buy these $1,000 jeans? You'd say, no, I'm going to wait for it to come back down, the price to come back down. You need to treat investments the same way. Buy them when they're down into support when they're on sale, essentially. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that people have. Is that people aren't treating it like going to the supermarket and looking for what's on sale. They treat it like, for some reason, oh, I got to chase this even though it's up 3x or 4x from the lows. And that really is where people get in trouble. Ask anyone who bought in the 60,000 range on Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, I mean, we all got wrecked in the egg market recently. We can't buy eggs out here anymore, Gareth.
Right, and that's a great point. Like, you don't go to the store and be like, oh, eggs are now $5 or $10
$8.
Let me buy 20 dozen eggs because it's so pricey. You go like, you know what? Do I really even need eggs this week? Can I live off no eggs? But people don't apply that same thought process to investing. If they did, they'd actually make a lot more money.
Yeah, I think everything is kind of giving you this investor mindset because you go to a store. Gareth, I was in the grocery store yesterday. Eggs were $8 a dozen. What is going on? Friends, were in trouble. And that's
Crazy.
why, kind of Bitcoin at the end of the day, could be looked at that as that safe haven, because despite everything that's happened, Bitcoin being where it is now is positive. And how do you feel about, the macro, I guess, do you think this is a good time for people to maybe take an entry in Bitcoin? Do you think, either way, get in or wait? I don't know. How do you feel?
So longer term, like if you ask me where Bitcoin is in 3 to 5 years from now, I think it's way higher than here.
Yep.
In the
Yep.
near term, it's not something I'm chasing. I'm much more looking to unload positions in it, and kind of look for pullbacks to buy or even new lows. So again, I just use that mentality. And again, listen, maybe we don't get new lows, but ultimately, you want to be ready. Like I wouldn't want to see someone putting all their money to work now at 22,700 where it is. And then all of a sudden price comes back to 19 or 18 or 17. And they're like, oh crap, I put all my money there to work. Now I can't, buy any dollar cost averaging. Instead, if you're really intent on buying, okay, but use a small amount. This way you have maneuverability to kind of buy on a dip.
Yeah, like have a plan. Have like a bullish and bearish case scenario.
That's exactly the key. Yep. You want to kind of look at all sides, and you don't want to get caught in the emotion of it, guys. And again, the market's prey. I mean, think about emotion as being blood in the water, and then the sharks are circling, right? You got to cut that emotion out. Normally as being a human, we want to have emotion. That's good to have in life. But in trading, it will be your undoing.
We don't want to be undone. At all.
No, not at all.
We want to be put together.
You want to live to fight another day.
Exactly. And buy some pizza. I saw people were commenting about pizza in the chat. Have you had any pizza recently, Gareth?
No, I haven't. For me, once you leave New York, it's like what's the point? No, I'm just kidding.
You're so right. And it's sad because we do have the best pizza. I mean, I got an air fryer, Gareth, and it changed my life.
Oh my gosh.
Do you have an air fryer?
Too, and I'm just learning how to use it. And I have to say, I breaded some chicken and did it in there, and it was pretty darn good.
It is. And, it's like the healthier alternative. Like, you're not frying stuff, and it's good. It's not bad. I wasn't a fan at the beginning, but
anything that allows me to eat, I'm all for.
Right? You just like throw everything 410 minutes, throw it in there, and you got a good meal. So shout out to the air fryers out there. I'm not sponsored by an air fryer. Maybe one day I will, and we'll cook on stream with Gareth. Gareth, thank you so much for joining me today. Where can everyone find you to find more of your amazing, amazing information? And do you have any messages for the chat? It could be about pizza, it could be about stocks, it could be about gold, however you feel.
Ooh.
Share it with us.
All right. So number one, follow me on Twitter at Gareth Soloway. Also check out my educational courses at verifiedinvestingeducation.com. They are awesome. They will change your life in terms of putting you in the position to profit for the rest of your life in trading and investing. And then I would just leave you with this is just remember, emotion in trading is the worst thing. Always imagine if that chart or that run in anything is a pair of jeans that you're looking to buy at the store. Has price gone up? Would you still buy it if it was a pair of jeans at the mall? Put it in terms where naturally we can think about it logically, and you'll actually find yourself becoming a much, much better investor and trader.
Thank you so much, Gareth. I appreciate you so much. Friends in the chat. Oh, someone was joking and said you're not a trader, but you're using to look at RSI. I'm learning, friend. I'm learning. Yeah. And people like Gareth are educating me, and I appreciate it so much. And I hope that these streams are helpful for you guys too, because we're all new out here and we're just trying to find our way, navigate this crazy market from the news side of it, political side, and the TA side. And TA is so important because not only does it apply to crypto, but it applies to stocks and various other entities. So make sure you guys check out Gareth's channel. Everything is in the live chat and in the description. Please check out his courses, check out his Twitter. He is amazing. And his Instagram is at Gareth Soloway as well, right? That's your Instagram handle?
That's right.
I know I tagged you over there before. So make sure you follow him.
Fakes, guys.
Yes.
Watch out for fakes. There are so many. You got to look at the name really closely because, man, do they put on a bunch of fakes out there.
It's horrible. You gotta get the blue check. You gotta keep applying for it.
Yes, I gotta keep applying.
Yeah, please keep applying. Watch the spelling, friends, and make sure we will not DM you asking for your money to sign up for BS. If you want to sign up for Garrett stuff, you will go to verifiedinvestingcrypto.com or inthemoneystocks.com and figure that stuff out from him directly. Don't click mysterious links. Do your own research, friends. Thank you guys so much for coming. I really do appreciate you. I will be back tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern for the Daily Zest. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, your news. I got you guys. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Make sure you smash those likes before you leave. Comment after this is over. Let us know where you think Bitcoin is going. Share the stream out with friends so more people can hear what Gareth has to say because he's so important and cool. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow at 12. Stay zesty. Peace.